Hello to all members of SUG Chennai. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I welcome you all to the webinar on Content Hub 1, Lightweight and Lightning Fast, with our esteemed guest speaker, Yamini Punyavathi, who is a 3x Sitecore Technology MVP. I thank you all for joining in this exciting webinar, and I thank Yamini for accepting to share her expertise and taking time out of her busy schedule. Now, let's jump into this webinar of Sitecore Content Hub 1. The stage is all yours, Yamini.
Yeah, thank you, Karthikeyan, for the opportunity firstly to present at SUGCHN and hi all the people of SUGCHN. And let me know if my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, before we go into the session, I would like to introduce myself, wherein I'm Yamini Punyavathi Muttevi, a three-time Sitecore Technology MVP with a decade of experience in Sitecore, and also I've been an innovative technologist with the insatiable passion for research and development. And I am always passionate and like to explore about new challenges and apply them to provide the best engaging user experiences. Also, I'm the founder of Sitecore User Group Hyderabad, where I host webinars and monthly meetups to share insights with the fellow Sitecore enthusiasts. Now, let's delve into today's content, which is content of one. Why it is lightweight and still lightning fast, we'll get to know at the end of the session, but we'll proceed with the overview of the session. Now, in the overview, we do have Content Hub 1, Introduction and Benefits, way to access and how it looks, menu items, cloud portal, content model, content types and taxonomies, content, media, settings, API keys in authorization, demo. Okay, let's get into what is Content Hub 1, basic introduction and benefits of Content Hub 1. Now, Sitecore Content Hub 1, it's a native headless content management system for developers and marketers to launch centrally managed reusable omnichannel experiences. Now, why it is a headless? Headless as in like the backend and the front end is not tightly coupled here. That is headless. And for developers and marketers, it is easy to centralize and use it across all the omni-channel experiences. What do you mean by omni-channel? That is, in any channel, we are used to provide only one type of content. Earlier, we used to create content for like mobile. We used to create one content tablets or iPad or desktops or larger devices, small devices, which we used to differentiate content between the device types and the device sizes. No, but that is all changed with thanks to the headless CMSs, where we are decoupling both the front end and the back end here. So now, what are the benefits of Sitescope Content Hub 1? Now, this is a very great GUI. That is, it is easy for anybody to create dynamic content models fit for any channel. As I said, anybody can create content models which are fit for any of the channels. Now, simplified content authoring for marketers and other content creators. Now, this is that. Okay, now earlier we used to depend on developers like, okay, once the development is done, the components are done, okay, then we have to start the content authoring. But this is not in this case. Here, right away, when the content model is created, right, at the same time, we would be creating the business users or the content authors or marketers would create the content for the content of one. Now, this can serve content anywhere. That is, as I said earlier, it is like web, app, kiosk, voice assistant, or name it any channel. So we can use the same content across all the channels. Now, similarly here, let the business users focus on creating impactful content while developers build engaging experiences. This is that, okay, business is not concerned now with how the development is being done. They were never concerned earlier also, but this point is here because they are mostly important or may provide mostly on the organizational content that is created, but not on the development, because development comes back to the developer as standards where we have to provide engaging user experiences. Now that is decoupled. So this is also one of the main important thing of content hub one, where only business users focus on creating content, whereas developers focus on building the engaging experiences, or we call it as components. Now, these developers also can leverage a rich set of SDKs and APIs supporting popular front-end frameworks. That is, we can use Next.js supporting content hub one, wherein we can export the TS TypeScript models. Or also, we can use the GraphQL as an API where we get the data from the content hub one to the front-end technologies. Now, let's move on into further details. Now, way to access and how it looks. Now, Content Hub 1 can be accessed by a Sitecore portal, which is portal.sitecorecloud.io. This is the content portal or a portal wherein we have all the Sitecore products coupled together here. As in, like, this is a group of one portal where we have all the content portals. Now next, which looks like this. If I log in into the content hub one, right, it gives me four main sections. One is model content, create content, upload media items, and get it to the channel. Now these are the four things which are divided in the menu portal also. So these are the same things wherein settings comes to get it to the channel. Let's deep dive further. Now menu items, cloud portal. We'll also see in the demo what is this or how they look and how they work also. Now content model is something which is used to create content types and the taxonomies to organize content. Content is something which lets you add content. Media is items we upload assets or banner images or documents or whatever PDF files or XSL files or PDF, JPG, WebP, all these things can be uploaded in the Sitecore, but videos are not supported as of now. And can be creating the media items also, which form the media items for the pages that we create the content. Now settings. This is the one of the admin page only. That is only the administrator of this content hub one can view this settings tab, where every secret detail like the client and the credentials and the OAuth client credentials or the organization or the tenant details are stored here. And this also used to let the create the API keys like preview or delivery API keys, which will be useful for the further, like we are using draft content or the published content. So for those we have supposed to create an API key. We'll get do know further into each of the model. Now, what is content type and taxonomies? Content model, as in like we segregate in two types. One is content types and taxonomies. Now, what is a content type? Now, building a content model involves creating content types. That is, if you can say this is similar to a template. Suppose if you want to create a content, we have to organize and structure it in the form of a template. Now, here content model is something which acts as a template and where we create types. Types as in like every type is associated with one of the section of the field. Like we do have rich text field, single line text in normal Sitecore. Here we do have long text, rich text, small text, and also we do have some things called as reference field and select field. Now what is a taxonomy? Taxonomy is something which is groups into data. Like suppose I'm having content publisher, author, or um, a approver of content, like suppose in a workflow. That time this taxonomy used to create such set of data and group it together, which can be used as a select field for the content types or the content items. Now let's go into content. Now as a content author, content hub one is used to get media assets, create digital experience for the for the customers. That is here this is not having any presentation details associated with this. Now this is plain content which we are going to create that is going to render on the Next.js app. So there is no presentation details in it, so it is pure content only. Now going to the workflow of this. Now content item in draft state. That is, there are two things here. One is published data, one is the draft data. So now draft data will always be provided through the preview API, whereas the published data is always provided by the delivery API. Also, there are two changes here. One, content is published content or the draft content. Now, similarly, in the states also there are three states associated with every set of content model, and also the media items. One is draft state. The time when the item is created, that is termed as draft state. The time when the item is published, that is a published state. And if we change anything, like suppose if you are changing in the published item, then it saves as a change type. Or if you unpublish it also, it becomes draft, but between it will be a change state. So these are the change states. Now this holds both for content and the media items as well. Now let's move on to media. Okay. Now media, as I said here, right? This is also holding media together. This doesn't require any DAM or anything, because this in itself is used to create a website. So in this, it manages a central repository of assets like logos, banner images, documents, and everything, which we can upload. Now video is not supported as of now, but when you upload the asset, right, it creates its own media item which is formed into the media pages also. Now each media is associated with unique one ID. This is not a GUID, but this is just randomly created ID which will be created at the creation of media item. There is some file size, file name, normal properties of file are associated with this, but main important thing is a unique ID. Now that is useful when we are going to serialize items. That is when we are moving from one environment like the sandbox environment to the production environment, then these unique IDs are used to create in the creation of the YAML files. So this is very important because here we are not creating anything, but it is randomly creating. The site itself, the interface itself creates the randomly unique ID. Now the following formats are supported. That is documents we do support. Content one supports like PDF, docs, PPT, XLS and XLSX also. And images are like normal video images, WebP, PNG, JPG and JPG. But video is not yet supported, but I think there are still, it's a future plan to support videos as well. As of now, GIF is supported with some motion picture, I guess. Okay, let's move on to next thing, which is settings. As I said, this is only visible for the admin role. Like, and also every API key associated with one of the app. See, I have one tenant or one organization. In that, there may be many tenants, or in one tenant, there can be many applications. So one application should at least have one of the key, whether it is a draft key, sorry, whether it is preview API key or it is a delivery API key. Right. So when we are using preview or delivery API key, you require valid API keys. Now these can be created, renamed, deleted, or accessible through the content hub one if we have necessary permissions only. So we do have need to have necessary permissions and we need to know the endpoints. Now let's go to OAuth. Now what is an OAuth? See, it is something called as authorization. Like suppose it's the main establishment between the front end and the back end that is used to connect or correlate each other. Like suppose these tokens or suppose OAuth is a client bearer, right? It accesses the content management API. Now it is used to manage content types, content and media. Now what is it's an open source for delegation also. But what I would generally say is that the client secrets or passwords which are sensitive to be stored that are not should not be visible to everybody are stored in an environment file which is used to create the establishment between the backend and the front end. And this is what it's going to give the data through the GraphQL API. There are also SDKs which can be associated by creating this one OAuth app. Now let's proceed to demo. This is my content app one. Look, when I log into sitecode.portal.io.cloud, right? Sitecode.cloud.io. This is my content cloud, wherein I can, these are a lot of things which are present here, but content app one is a content cloud. So it is like this. As I said, the homepage looks like this. There are four things on the homepage. Main things are model content, which are the content types that can be created. Create content, where we create the actual content like pages, articles, posts, and items as well. Now upload media items here, upload, organize and media items to which are supported for the content. Now get it to the channel is either it is a delivery API or a preview API keys. So this is what the four things look like in the main thing. This is the newest thing which is available, which is called as localization. I'll get to it if we have time at the end of the session, but if not, I do have, we'll get to know at the end of the session if we have still time left. Okay. Now we'll go with the content model. Now what is a content model? In this, two types are there. As I said, content types and taxonomies. Now let's go to content types. Now I would like to create one of the content type. Let's say SUGCHN. See, this is the ID which is normally created, which is identified only for the content type. This is not a unique. This is a unique ID, but it is generated based on the name. So let me type sample content type. Now let's create this. And we are supposed to add fields here. This is ID only, which is generally used to identify in the while creation of content type. Now let's add fields. There are 8 to 10 fields here. Now firstly we'll go with short text here. Settings name short text is, let me create text value. Okay, it is also if it is required, then we must fill this field. Limit character length. Suppose if I'm putting a first name, then it should be at least no more than 20 characters I can give here. Then you can go to display options, which is helper text here. That is okay. This is for the placeholder text, or this is for the first name. This can be my help text. Now, if you are going to create one more field, which says in the long text, we do have something called as long text here. Name is, I would put it as description, where in required field, limit character count also not between 500 to, we can put these things like between 500 to 800 characteristics. Display options is something like helper text, description of the event, we can type it as. Then we'll go to next field, which is the rich text for us. Rich text as in like it supports everything. It just has to give a paragraph details is what I'll provide, paragraph text. As description is already given, right? Okay, the required field. Like we'll display options is also like we'll just go with helper text, just an optional thing. It's not a required field. So let's go back to number. Number is your phone number we can give here. And also we can put required field. Display options is um, please enter in particular format. In some format. I could give like this. Then we are having something called as Boolean values. But Boolean values is something like it is used to segregate whether it's a gender or it's like a two values or three, four values, which we can two values, sorry, true or false values. Like it's a radio button or it's a Kannada dam. So let's term it as something like file, not file. Let's give me like a gender only. By default, true or false, it'll take. Okay. Helper text we can give it here. Then we are if you're navigating to add field. Then we'll get date and time. Date and time is like this is useful like for publishing items also, and this is used it can be displayed in the portal also. So we can type date and time text. Now required field and display options. This also we can put in please enter in particular format in some format. I can put this. Then we'll go to another field. Now these are the simple fields. Now this reference field we'll get to know later. First we'll go to media, then I'll explain reference and select because we'll see why it is the reference field. Now media is something similar like input images and required limit number of items. Suppose if you're giving carousel, right? Then I could say no more than 5 items in a carousel. If you want, we can go for 7 items as well. But or also we do have some other like at least between 5 and 7 minimum. Okay, between we'll put for this one 5 and 7, minimum 5 and maximum 7. Now we do save that. Now we are going to the reference field. Reference field is something wherein suppose I'm creating a header component, right? For me, menu items are one of the components, and media item or the image or the logo of the site of the header, that is one component. So I would suggest header, right? And then let me name it as header. Then we can add here one is the reference field because this is the header to me. This is the entire one application, but in this it allows what menu items, because logo I can choose it like this is a reference field. So I do have two types of things. One is as a content of content, that is the reference field. Suppose here all content types, then you can allow everything, but content type separate. Suppose if you want to allow only menu, then I can check this. When I'm checking this, right, it allows only the menu items. We'll see that also. And limit number of items not more than 6 on the home page. So we can take this as well. Now reference we'll get to know more when we go into creation of content. Now we're just creating the content structure or whatever template we call this. Now select field. Now what is the select field is taxonomy. Suppose I said here, right, what is the taxonomy is like selected text. Like taxonomy, we can create select existing also. Content, okay, let's go with content taxonomy. Now, what is it is we can open a new window. It'll show us what are the types of things that can be added or like checkboxes that we support. Select is generally a drop down or checkbox, right? See here, approver, creator, and then reviewer. We do have these things, right? If you go back to this, we can create an okay. 1 second. Let me go back. Okay, here we are. Let us create new one also. New one we'll create later, but let me add one of the thing which is created here, content. Then we took required field. This is required. Display options, we can provide this as choose the content author or a publisher that we can give here. And we'll go into save this. Now, once I save this, right, the content type is created with all the data. See here, this is all created, right? Now we saved it. Now we are going to create a content for this one. So I'm navigating to content, right? I'm creating content wherein I can choose the content type here, which just created already. This is we are going to add here. This leave this local. This is a recent one which is introduced. I just created like 2 days before. We can look into this at the end of the session if do have time. Otherwise, we can just ignore as of now. So we'll go to continue, and we do get all the data. This name is one of the field that is identifying the name. It is a default field for every of the content that we create. So some sample content for SUG. Now this is first name. We should remember here we should enter 20 characters max of. This is the because this is going to work when we putting these things, right? These are the default validations which we are getting. We need not put anything. See here cannot be added. allowed maximum 20 characters for publishing. So this is what it can be. And there is also an option for AI that I'll show you. This description, right? This is the sample. One second. Sample content for the SUG, and I have to replicate it because let me replicate 1 second. Let me replicate it two or thrice. This is good, right? This is what generated with AI. Now it will generate me the content also. Like suppose I can show more about AI, right? Now improve writing, fix grammar. These all are the AI. If you want to make longer text also, it generate automatically based on our content. See here, I can copy it. I can upload here. Like cancel. Okay. Now let me go back here. 1 second. No. Wait. We can copy it normally. Otherwise. Replace is their option here, replacing the content text. See, it got fit. Now, this is the temp that is generating automatically. This is supported only for the text. I mean, only generated text can be supported as general with this. And now in this, we can put the same content. We can use something like as bold or this is the rich text. Normally, how we know in the sidecar, right? The same thing it works in the rich text also. We can attach like links, or we can also attach some of the tables we do have, like snippets we used to have earlier, right? That's the same rich text concept here. Now, phone number, they should be not more than 10 or whatever we put in the data. See, it's taking, see, value is not allowed within the range. So let's put some data here. So this is just a number value, gender, true or false. I can put something we can put here. Like it's in daytime also. Daytime, it is used to take the, this is also having the localization like UTC and the localization wherein we defines or we can convert it to the UTC standards. So let me put something here on, and images we have here. One is add existing media, which where I can add the existing media. I can add this or add one item, and also I can create new, upload new media, which is showing this one. But as of now, I don't have media on this, so we can upload as well. Now header, I'm more interested in this section because as I said here, no more than 6 items and add existing content or create new content. If you remember, right, we are allowed to create only, we are allowed to update only the menu items. See here, it gives me only references to the menu item. You may say that, okay, this is giving because you're selecting add existing content. No, if you also create content, right, it will always give me the details as menu only. See, type ID menu, it will give me. I would say sample menu name. I'll put the same label here. We can put the link later, but it is just a menu image. We can put also because that was the this thing part of the menu. Now let me close this. So we are having one item selected sample menu. Now I can add existing also, which is contact us or about us. Can select add two items. We are selecting only menu items. If we want to select any other navigational item, we can set it. Or if you want to allow everything, but it will create chaos if you are allowing everything, right? We'll not understand what we are uploading here. So that's the reason this is a useful thing, header is. And this is select text. This is our taxonomy. Where I was saying like it allows you to reference. That is, this is one content type for me, which is a taxonomy that we are putting and allowing it to put it in the content type. So approver I can put or author I can put. Now let's save this. Cool. Okay, now it got saved. Now it is in the draft state. If you can see here, right, everything is in draft state other than media items which we published already. See here, add between 5 items. So we are still getting those things like we need to add media between 5 or 6. So let me add 3 more items. Otherwise, it will not allow me to publish also. 4 items. Now it should be good to go. There should not be any errors. Okay, let me check for errors. There are no errors. Now this will be in the draft state. That is, this can be accessed to the preview API. Once we publish this, the content type also gets published. See here, publishing content item. So it will take some time. We can go back to content now. Now this is where content is created. While this is created, right, let me go to media items. Now, suppose this is my media item which uploaded little while longer. If you could see here, right, I would suggest, okay, let me go through and edit it so that we can see the ID. Details not ID. In the ID, we can see your details. May ha here, see here. This is the file name, like file type. These are all normal things, but this is the ID I was talking about, which is randomly created, which is not associated with the file. I cannot see. You can rename, upload it again, but it will create you another ID. This is important because this is valuable when we are going through CLI, that is serialization and uploading into the YAML files. When we get them, serialize them as in YAML files. Now we can support PNG, WebP, all the images are supported. You can see here PNG is supported. We can see here what are the file types added also here. See here documents, filters are available as well. WebP is there. Do we have any WebP images? Yes, we do have WebP images. XLS, I don't think we have. So these are all present here. So now we got the content published here. Now where is the content? Let me go back to the content. Now here we are having this is the published content which I can access through the what we say the published or the delivery API. Okay, now settings. I do not want to navigate to this because the sensitive data is present here. But okay, we can also go to something else, which I would say these are things normally it is developed right now. If you go to content, now published data. Now what is the end points that we are looking at for these things? Like delivery API and the preview API. If I go to API keys, right, there are two things. One, oh, my mistake. 1 second. I didn't want to navigate to back totally back to that. 1 second. View documentation. We do get API keys in wherein we do have a preview endpoint, which is content API, Sidecore Cloud. We do have the delivery API endpoint, which is Sidecore Cloud. Okay, edge to Sidecore Cloud. This is one thing which we want, which we should be careful about because if you are creating a preview API key, which is not delivery one, and accessing the published content, it will never happen. Similarly, vice versa also. So we should be careful what are we using as an endpoint, what are the key which we are creating also. Because this secret key gets created only once the value, but name we can create like name can be created or deleted, but that value is only created once. So we need to save it in the environment files. Now this is how this is being done. Now if we go to this, this is one of, okay, let me close this. Now there is a site I developed which I want to show. This is the application which I've developed. This is a single page website, I would say. Here, which is my home page. This is the home wherein we do have these things. If I click on this, right, it'll navigate to a story, our story, like meet speakers. If you want to go to schedules, we can go. If you want to go about, check out schedule, pricing, venue, and contact. We do can create a contact from in here. We can create like these also, like these social media icons can be created. This maps or also can be put it here. This is all basically from content only. Like everything is coming from the content hub one. Nothing is like uh, hard coded in the Next.js. So if we are looking at this, right, we do have some data like navigations also here, which is supporting this data, like forms and all also. So this is one of the easiest website, I would say, because if marketers want to just put the plain content out, right, this also supports our so-called the media items or across one channel. We could say this thing, right? If you're going to like this, right? It is supporting any format also. It is just flexible or responsive. I can say this is a responsive designs. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I stopped the presentation. Okay, let me maximize the screen. 1 second. It's not allowing me to. Okay, let me close this. Okay, I can maximize. Now, if you're going back to content, right? I hope it doesn't ask me to log in again. Okay, we are good here. I see we do have some time, so I would like to explain more on localization as well. This is the latest feature which localization has been enabled. Like localization is what? It is like providing data to the regional audience. So it is more focused on creating engaging experiences with the regional audience. Like suppose I'm in French, I'm in Canada, and the French language is more utilized. I mean, like spoken or spoken out there. So we are providing the language that is called as localization. Now for this is the latest introduced feature here, wherein we need to create content is created once, right? Then we term it as content, primary content. If we navigate here, right? Now something is created here, which I could say normal content, or I could say this is the one which is the local. See here, draft state it is there, that is fine. But here my local is something like the language, like we would say that okay, local is nothing but the short form or the abbreviation for our language codes, international language codes, ENUS, or like other things, like we do have FRCR or FR, like that, right? So localization is this, and I did create my mother tongue here, which is Telugu India. So that is also then one which localization supports here. We can add localization here. This content has been localized available locals. Okay, let me add again. See here. Okay, but let me go back here. Locals are created in settings, which I'm not going to show now, but I can show how it can be accessed. See, a content item is created, right? Now, there is no local for this. Suppose this is my main content or primary content, which I want to localize also for different types of audience. Then what would I do is, when we are going here, right? It is not locally assigned, right? Go to the localization tab. We are supposed to go and add localization here. Now it is now I have created two things. Firstly, we have to create in the settings time where we create as an API key English and US. So let me go to English and added this. So first localization is created. See here, reference items are localized. See, it is so smart that it is understanding I did create some of the reference items based on menu items. So it is asking me so whether you want these to be localized in the new content item or if you want to skip we do that, we say that we can continue, right? Because we do want to localize these as well. So continue. Now, content created localized view. We can view this. That is in the English language, the content is created. Okay, one second. Where is this? I have to minimize this, otherwise it keeps on appearing. The sharing screen. Sorry, one second. Let me minimize otherwise. Okay. Yeah. See, it is now saying as English US. Simply, if I want to edit, right, I can also put in something like here. If you navigate here, there is something called as primary here. So it is none. Now I'll get other things like English is already present, which is the primary content. Now I'll add localization. Add localization. I'll add Telugu because English is already created. Let me content create in this one. See, it is asking it to create in content also. Let me create this. But this creates it in that items are created, but the content we have to manually upload. As in like translator, we have to translate and put it in the content in here. Like it's a content author's job, I would say. But this is there, right? Let me publish it. This is here local. It says, okay, it is in the local. So this is available where and why. I would show one second. Here, if we go here, right, in this, we do have two things for the content. One is JSON preview to understand how it is created. Like this is all JSON view only, right? At the end of the day, headless as in like JSON only. It is at the end of the day. So now it gives me ID entire data with the local feeds as well. See, the entire data is present, like date time when it is published, like what is the draft state, is it a draft or not, published by ad. See, this is the API also. Since it's a draft state, it is using content API. If we close this, right, there is one more option for us to query GraphQLs. Now, this is very easy and useful. When I started development in 2023, right, there were no GraphQLs. I had to write like this is the latest feature which is released 2-3 days back before only, wherein it is giving me the queries also. Like see queries and this is the ID. We just have to go to the API and just have to add the token key. That is a GraphQL token key. I can go to preview API ID. See, it'll load me, but I do not have any HTTP headers or this one. That's why it is giving me an error. Let me close this. This token is also secret key type. See, I can this GraphQL also see it will show you everything like what is the ID name. These are the default or the default values which are given at the creation of the item. Now these are all my fields. If you see here, right, images are multiple, so it is showing me results of that is it's an array with the details. Header also multiple results of that is it's an array of data. And see here local is added. Local is added wherever we added a local. That is it's saying that it belongs to one language here. Now if you go back and go to delivery key, right? All we have to do is see, I have one of the data. I do not want to show this, but let me explain this. See, one secret token is there. I'm getting every data here. So this is also useful as to get the data. So here only we are getting this opportunity to avail this because we are getting GraphQL queries also, which we can just put it in a query only, like TS files and put it in the Next.js files, which will fetch you the data. So this is what is Content Hub 1 is. And I think one support feature which you are going to get is support for the videos. And other than that, we do have localization, which is a recently introduced feature. Yeah. So this is concludes the session. We are good for any question and answers. I hope I was not too fast, but sorry if it was too fast. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Yamini. Any questions from any of the attendees? Okay, I think there are no questions then. Okay, I think we can close the session
Yeah.
Thank you, Yamini, for the great session and taking us through the wonderful journey on Content Hub 1. And I thank all the participants who attended this session. Have a nice day and rest of the evening. Thank you
Thank you.
all.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Bye bye.